You could tell Joe Kernan's like charmed by him. He's like, what am I supposed to do as the morning talk show host, but just let him walk right over me and tell me all these lies.
Hey everybody, welcome back to SpeechCenter. Tim and I have a lot to cover today, from Texas Republicans to the Epstein files, but let's get the most important question out of the way. Tim, what color are your jeans?
Gray. You know, I have great genes, half Lebanese, thanks to my mother. But the gray jeans are, about 8 years ago now, I was in Spain. I was in Sevilla. And the youth, like the 20-somethings in Seville, were all just wearing monochrome gray and looked so cool in their gray jeans. So I copied them and purchased several different shades of gray jeans. How about you?
My jeans are brown. They're brown today. My Ashkenazi jeans are as good as Ashkenazi jeans can get, which means no dairy for me. All right, let's keep moving.
A lot of weakness. Those jeans. A lot of physical
good
ailments.
Good at math.
Great at math.
On today's show, we've got unhinged Trump phone calls, Republican gerrymandering, and so much more. But first, let's go to ICE Barbie herself, Kristi Noem, on Fox News, talking about the work benefits of joining ICE and how it's rated E for everyone.
But you want them to join, you want more enforcement, you're going to give them a $50,000 signing bonus. There's an opportunity to get up to $60,000 in student loan payment. This is not the government giving money away. This is a service to the country.
We've seen our ICE officers be terrorized by activists, by violent people who want to do them harm, and they have continued to go out bravely and do their jobs and make sure that they're upholding the rule of law. And so our recruitment efforts to hire 10,000 new ICE officers has been extremely successful. We've removed any of the age barriers. We no longer have a cap on how old you can be, or you can continue at age 18, sign up for ICE and join us and be a part of it. We'll get you trained and ready to be equipped to go out on the streets and help protect families.
So look out, everyone. Newest ICE agent Joe Biden.
No age gap. Shaking his cane.
It's unbelievable.
Have they considered, while they're doing freebies, if Kristi Noem's going to be the spokesperson, like free extensions, free botulism? That might be something to look into. Just anything, any incentives. The student loan repayment is kind of interesting. I love how the Fox News host caught he caught the hypocrisy. He's reading the teleprompter and he's like, you could get this, you could get that, you could get student loan repayment. He's like, but that's not a freebie like Joe Biden was trying to give out. You're serving your country, so you get student loan repayment. The people that are doing, nurses, no, they're not serving their country. You're only serving your country if you're shaking down old ladies from Iran who are outside their home gardening and menacing them and, putting them into a cutely named prison in the Everglades.
You're serving your country if you're standing outside a Home Depot with a bare paint strip and deciding whether somebody is to the left or to the right of ecru as to whether or not you interrogate them as to their immigration status. That's serving your country.
Something like that. I don't know. The whole thing is pretty dark. You have to mock it. Them doing rapid hiring of ICE agents who are then going to be masked and not face any accountability, I think is something to be very worried about. And I think it's going to take us to, we're going to have a lot of situations that are deeply alarming and sad, tragic, really, when it comes to just people that are not equipped for this sort of thing. And people that are, frankly, self-selecting as the types of people that want to harass people. I don't want to impute all ICE folks like that, but if you're signing up now because of Stephen Miller's join ICE tweets, I just think the types of folks you're going to attract are going to be of a specific ilk. And I don't know if they're going to be mostly primarily concerned about the rights of people who are coming to this country to seek freedom.
Now let's go to Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Hannity, condemning Democrats for fleeing the state amidst a consequential redistricting push by the Republicans.
Democrats have done something that's very un-Texan. They've turned their backs on their fellow Texans. When it came to a fight, they turned and ran away, not just from this redistricting fight, they ran away from dealing with the flooding issues that are still echoing across the Kerrville area. Families desperately need results from the state legislature in this 30-day special session that are not going to be delivered because Democrats are hanging out in Chicago and New York and other places. The gross gerrymandering in these blue states have rejected Republican candidates for office that should be serving those states, should be serving our country. It's the gerrymandering in the blue states that has distorted the politics in America.
I just want to just do a fact thing here. The Republicans called the special session. All right. It is to do two things. deal with the ramifications of the terrible flooding, deadly flooding, and to do this partisan redistricting. They chose the order. They chose to do the redistricting first, knowing full well that Democrats were going to have to leave the state to prevent the vote. They knew exactly what they were doing. They are the ones that decided to tie flood relief and flood preparedness to this partisan redistricting.
That's a good fact check. Facts are important here at Love It or Leave It. I'm going to do figure skating judging. Greg Abbott is not as powerful and articulate as maybe he once was, or I imagined him to be. The extended clip there, he looked kind of like a parody of Greg Abbott a little bit in his performance there, and I'm sure it was good enough for Fox. But the thing that worries me about all of it is it's really hard, to put this stuff back the way it was before, after, you act like this in such a cynical way. But there always is at least this patina of okay, we are going to do this within the laws as they're written, and we're going to create a rationale for doing it such as this. This Texas thing, they're not even doing that. And they've taken away even the attempt to signal that, this has some plausible legal justification. It is just pure power politics all the way down.
There are hard philosophical questions about how to draw these maps, and there's no perfect, obvious scientific way to do it. But there were certain protections. One was that we do this every 10 years and we just deal with it, right? And that little bit of forbearance had value because redistricting fights are hard and divisive and contentious. And we cordon them off to this period after the census. And if we're now in a situation where there's a presidential election or a midterm election and there's suddenly a change in the map and a Republican or Democratic governor and legislature decides, you know what, we left some meat on the bone here. We actually can make some of these Republican districts a little bit bigger and have them more of a majority and squeeze out one or two more Democrats or vice versa. It's just another example of Republicans are escalating and Democrats are faced with a choice, which is, do they either hew to their previously stated principle, which is ideally we have independent redistricting everywhere, or do we fight back and try to win because without power, we can't do anything? And unfortunately, I don't see what else we can do. I think nonpartisan redistricting in blue states and partisan redistricting in red states is a recipe to have the same disadvantage in the House that we already have in the Senate.
Yeah, I agree. No, the only choice is to fight.
We go to Donald Trump calling up CNBC like a drunk ex, defending the newly reported job numbers and flirting with running for a third term.
Boo.
The numbers before the election were earth-shattering. I'm not saying these were earth-shattering, but then they announced a couple of 100,000 to make it look a little bit worse from, months before. I said, where did those numbers come from? So
for as much as you want
to, it's a highly political situation. It's totally rigged. Smart people know it. People with common sense know it. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, a record that they say won't be beaten unless I run again.
Are you going to run again?
No, probably not. I'd like to run. I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. You know why? Because people love the tariffs.
Among Republicans.
I have poll numbers where I'm 71%. I have the best poll numbers. Look,
those are among Republicans. You know you've got...
No. Among Republicans, I'm at 94 and 95%. No, I'm talking about generally. I have the...
I hadn't heard all those other pieces. I love the midway through, there's just the sounds of shuffling papers. What's going to be on that page? What do you got there? The way to stop him from talking is on that paper?
Joe Kernan, you could tell Joe Kernan's charmed by him. He's like, oh, this rascal. What am I supposed to do as the morning talk show host on a financial news network, but just let him just walk right over me and tell me all these lies.
I thought I was watching a person that felt stuck because he knew that he is listening to what is not true. He's trying to interject here and there, but it is like a blizzard of lies, right? Every single part of it was a lie. Every sentence that followed the sentence after was a new lie. What he's saying about the jobs reports is just not true.
And Joe did fact check him on that in the longer
on
exchange,
part of it.
On part of it.
You remember when there was Gamergate and all of these all of these people were attacking video games and video game journalists, and it was deeply misogynist, and it was about the fact that the games had diverse leads. But then all the defenders will say it's actually about ethics and video game journalism. Everyone defending Trump as if this isn't just so obviously, even by his own words, a way of firing someone for releasing jobs numbers he doesn't like. They all sound like those defenders are like, actually, it's about revisions in the job numbers and ethics and Bureau and Labor Statistics releases, when it's just so clearly him wanting to corrupt the job numbers process and sending a message to anyone that works for the government that if they release a fact or a figure or a study or a report that is embarrassing or displeasing to the boss baby, they'll face repercussions.
The jobs numbers thing at the end, it's also just important to say, because you do get lost in all of like the lying and the fake facts and like which parts are true and not. The opposite of what he's saying is that was actually true about the election. Like the last jobs report before the election was bad for Biden and Kamala. And then when they revised it the next month, they revised the number up. So it's literally the opposite of what he's saying. You know, if you were to take their premise for true, the theory would be that there was like a fox in the henhouse, that it was the deep state was coming after Kamala and Joe, ostensibly Kamala and Tim Walz, I guess, in that point, by hurting them with the final jobs report.
There's another part of this that's getting lost, and which is the jobs numbers are fucking terrible, and the revisions are terrible. And it tells you that Donald Trump's impact on the economy has been bad. The effect of tariffs has been disastrous. The effects of Donald Trump's chaos and the gutting of the government and the uncertainty. Yeah, like America is a big, robust, powerful economy. It means it can survive and potentially thrive, even if you have a president who's like basically doing a rearguard action against modernity. But he's not addressing the key issue that he was elected to resolve. And that's why he's lashing out.
Good news, though, is if you're a retired crooked cop looking for a job with ICE or in the private prison industry, Q3, things are kind of looking up.
All right, next up, here's Donald Trump playing dumb when he's pressed about the prison transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is
It's not a very uncommon thing.
Do you believe that she's credible to be listening to? Your Deputy Attorney General sat down with her recently.
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man. His name is Todd Blanche. He's a very legitimate person, very high, I just a very highly thought of person, respected by everybody. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, you know, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people. Anything he talked about with her or the fact that he did that, not unusual, number one, and most importantly is something that would be totally above board.
Yeah, look, nothing says legitimate and above board than Donald Trump saying it's legitimate. It's above board. It is just a factual note. It is quite unusual to take a violent, convicted sex trafficker who not only groomed young girls, but also participated in sexual abuse and put them in a cushy minimum security facility primarily for white-collar criminals called Club Fed. It is unusual because sex trafficking is a violent crime. And I feel like there's a kind of, I don't know, shrugging about this, or people are mad about this, but it almost feels as though, like, partly because it's a woman who committed this crime and partly because people, I think, in their minds are picturing like someone who was an accomplice to someone else's monstrosity, that they don't think of what Ghislaine Maxwell did as violent.
It's an important word. I agree with you. I also think it's unusual, like in the actual literal sense, that based on some folks I was talking to who, you know, have more expertise in this space than I do, that they literally hadn't even heard of somebody that was a sex offender being put in one of these minimal security prisons, and we're waiting on kind of some FOIAs on that, but thinks that she might be the only one in the entire country. So just in the actual definition of the word unusual, like this is an unusual case. Your point about how violent. So right before we started taping, I don't know if you saw this, it was leaked to ABC that Ghislaine apparently told Todd Blanche, the very legitimate and very above board Deputy Attorney General, that she didn't see Trump do anything problematic, or she didn't see anything. Not that she didn't see anything that she thought was wrong. And it's kind of like, we're really going for this. Like the like we want to hear the judgment of somebody that literally groomed dozens of girls into sex slavery. It is hard to imagine anyone that is more depraved and least trustworthy than this woman.
Yes. So prosecutors at the time said that she was not trustworthy, that she wasn't remorseful for her acts, that she had no respect for the law or for the court. It's why ultimately she ends up with a 20-year sentence. That was before it became clear that her only hope of freedom is a pardon or commutation by President Donald Trump, who provides those for people who help him and who has a lot to gain from being exonerated, in quotes, by this person who was so close and such a participant in sex trafficking and sexual abuse. Todd Blanche was also Trump's personal attorney before he was deputy attorney general. In the past, if you had a scandal, a legal scandal that had dragged the president into it, there were ways to not resolve the whole story, but to get it at least off the front page, to get it on the back burner for a while, which is it would be thrown to the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice would say there's going to be an investigation. It will be not influenced by politics. In some cases, there would be either an independent prosecutor or special prosecutor put in charge of that investigation. There were accusations of politics all the time, but it provided some division that allowed politics and justice to be separate. And that allowed the press to move on to the next story while the investigation was unfolding. And now you have the attorney general, the deputy attorney general, the head of the FBI, the vice president, and the White House chief of staff gathering to discuss their shared strategy for what should be an independent legal investigation by the Department of Justice, one they claimed they were going to be finally the ones to take seriously and transparently. It's wild. It's wild. But I do think like the good news of it, if there can be good news in this, is that they are making their situation worse because they've locked all the exits. Because Pam Bondi can't fix it. Kash Patel no longer can fix it. Obviously, J.D. Vance can't fix it. And Trump can't fix it. Tim, let's wrap it up. Another perfect episode of SpeechCenter. Did Epstein kill himself?
I'm kind of a no. I don't. My prior on all Donald Trump conspiracies is that eventually he'll blurt it out if he did it. And so like that is the one, but I guess there might be a narrower murder conspiracy, you know, the more people involved in a conspiracy, the more likely to come out.
If the theory is that Epstein was killed to cover it up, I don't know why Ghislaine's walking around. But
exactly.
To your point,
exactly.
I'll join you. Why not? Why not? We're all conspiracy theorists now.
Yeah, it's a strong maybe.
And I'll tell you what's not a conspiracy. We're killing ourselves trying to build this YouTube channel.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Subscribe to this Love It or Leave It channel. We're making more and more content. Your subscription helps us surface this for more people who will like it, helps us support making more content with Tim and other people, helps us compete with right-wing media. And Tim Miller, as always, so good to see you.
So good to see you, John. I'm glad you're not unaliving yourself.
Oh,
keeping this YouTube page
cracking
for all the viewers.